Factoring a quadratic with a leading coefficient of 1. A second degree polynomial is called a quadratic expression. Don't ask me why. Sometime I should look that up. Usually we factor quadratic trinomials. We know they came from all that foiling business that we had to do. If you look at the ALEX program, they put this big long table and they put these P's and Q's and they have this magic way of working it out. You can do it, it works. I just do this. I know it came from foiling. I factor my leading term. Well, W squared had to be W times W. I then determine what my signs are. If my end sign is positive, I either had to have a positive times a positive or a negative times a negative. So if my end sign is positive, I look at the middle sign and I know, oh, it had to be a negative times a negative. Then I factor my end term. I'm looking for the pair of factors that when I plug them in, technically I'm doing the outside plus the inside. It adds up to the middle. So I think about, well, what pair of factors of 20 add up to 9? 4 and 5. So that if I do my outside negative 5W plus my inside negative 4W, there's my middle term. So if I'm going to factor number 14 here, factors of x squared, x and x. My signs, both positive. Since the end is positive, they're both the same as the middle, a plus and a plus. Factors of 64 that add up to the 16 in the middle. 8 times 8. Now on this one, you could enter it in like that on the ALEX program. If you do, it's going to say it's correct. However, there's a better way to enter that in. Because this is the same thing twice. X plus 8 squared would be how I would enter that in. I won't count it wrong, but it will remind you that there is a better way. 15, same kind of thing, but this time my end sign is negative. So if I'm going to factor that, I'm going to say y and y. If the end sign is a negative instead of a positive, it means I had to have one negative and one positive. Positive times a negative is a negative. It doesn't matter which order you put them in if your leading coefficient is 1. Then I want to think about my factors of 6. I'm adding opposites, so when I subtract them, I want to get an answer of negative 1. So my factors of 6 that I probably want to use are 3 and 2. Since I want to get a negative, my bigger number has to be negative. Negative 3 plus 2 gives me that negative 1y in the middle. And of course, on all of those, if you weren't sure if you did it right, you could FOIL it out and check.